Yeah, hello everybody. Welcome back to Debate Hub. Oh, hey, that's the wrong thing. Where's Landon? Landon's gone. He disappeared. What happened? Oh no. There, no.
He said
Why?
he said what he
Why?
had to say. He said what he had to
here.
say. Oh, he's back.
I've never seen a technical issue before. That actually wasn't a technical problem. That was just me pressing the wrong button. Welcome
I
back,
saw-
everybody.
Yeah, she's a professional.
All I saw was
Great.
were the Mackie the bad guys. Did you see that, or was my
Yeah, it
alone?
was
Yes.
that we
Oh,
replaced
okay.
Landon.
You
with
leave the Mackie alone. They
title
don't know what they're
card.
doing. They're like angry teenagers. Leave them alone.
Mm.
They'll be fine.
Welcome back, everybody, to Debate Hub. We are here to talk about the singularity, and we've got a writer, a psychologist, and a mathematician walking into definitely not Pornhub. I am Chesh, your master debater. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to have these three people with us. I don't know if all three of them have ever been on a stream at the same time.
No,
No.
but I've admired these two. So
Yeah, and same.
Wonderful.
That
Also,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now this person,
Those-
the goblin, on the
those-
other hand, that's a different
those
story.
guys. Yeah, her. I no her. Yeah, I don't know about her. I don't know. About
Valid, fair, reasonable. Maybe that's part of what we will discover during this discussion.
Chesh made me
Um,
look stupid on a stream once, and I never.
But the
forgiven him.
singularity was inside of us all the time.
The
The
whole
singularity
time.
was maybe the real singularity was the friends we made along the way.
Oh no.
So
I sure hope
I'm
not.
actually an astronomer.
Oh, sorry.
We
Yes.
we do math,
Correction.
but that's fine. That's fine. And I'm one of those physicists that suspect that singularities are not physically real. That inside a black hole, and I've doubted Penrose's proof. It's not. It's proving the wrong thing. So if you're going
Oh,
about
we're definitely
singularity-
talking about different things tonight.
Yeah,
Yes.
all
Oh,
three
yeah.
of them. All three of
Whoa.
them brought all three of them brought a different topic because I
Totally
didn't tell
different.
them.
He means like an event horizon singularity. That's not where I'm going with
Yes.
this at all.
Oh, I'm so happy. I knew you would all bring different stuff, and I'm so
That's right.
excited for it. All right, so
Imagine
Landon
it's
sort of
a
introduced.
literal singularity, like in the literal sense of the term.
Yeah. What else were you expecting, Barry?
When I wrote the article about that I told you about 6 years ago, Chash.
So now you know who Barry is. Barry, introduce yourself and which singularity you're talking about.
Hi, my name's Barry. I write about stuff, and I became incensed with talk about the AI singularity, which has nothing to do with what Landon's talking about. It was about
Yeah,
the
no.
technological. Don't you sigh at me.
No,
What the hell is
They
sign?
all
I was
respect
starting
each
it.
other, guys. This is not going to be a dumpster fire.
I mean, if you're sighing now, wait until I make my shitty point. Then
Oh
we'll
boy,
see.
really? Can you
no,
at least
so-
wait?
Yeah. So I'm talking about I want to talk about the AI singularity, which is this popular conception of that AI and super intelligence, which will get to a certain point and achieve some kind of beyond human intelligence and some kind of beyond human consciousness. And I'm here to aggressively shit on that idea. That's why I'm here.
Wonderful. Chris, who are
Wonderful.
you? What are you up to? And which singularity did you bring to the table?
Yeah, okay. So I'm Chris Shelton, author, writer, podcaster, psychologist in the UK. You can call me that in the UK with my degree, but in America people might have a problem with that
You
word.
have a
but
master's degree in psychology,
But
specifically
I do.
about coercive control.
that's right. I am that's my real niche is
But I
coercive
can't
control
say
and
that for
culty
the
stuff.
joke. An
it's all good.
astronomer, a writer / philosopher, and somebody with a master's degree in psychology.
Exactly,
coercive
I
control.
know. No, it's my professor. Actually, it's funny enough. My professor actually told me the title does apply, and there's no controversy about it at all. If I were in England, so
Interesting.
you're in Canada, dimly sort of connected to the United
Counts.
Kingdom. So
Counts.
Does it
I get
apply if
to-
you're a Scientologist?
Oh.
No. Yeah, I
You
bet
just
if you're-
said uncontroversial, and then you said
ex-
Canada is connected to the
Scientologist.
United Kingdom. You're trying to start a war, man.
We still got a
Just
king and a queen and stuff. It's still related.
That's
Just
right.
real quick on
It
Chris
counts.
before
I
we
will
leave
never-
Shelton. Real
Yep.
quick on Shelton, that this is a book he wrote specifically about when you pull people out of cults, what do you do then? And that's a very valid question, and it's also relevant to all sorts of other situations that are not culty. And it's a very
Yes.
interesting idea, and I spoke about it before
Yeah.
with Chris and with Shesh, and
Yeah.
that's just what I have to say about that. Please continue.
And Barry,
Thank you
I
very
think
much.
Also, so sort of the concepts you've been advocating about the AI hype singularity
Yes.
stuff resonates with me because I do real computing as opposed to this
Real
AI is-
computing. Landon's already throwing shade.
Yeah, big time. I was definitely picking that up.
I heard
As
that
opposed to
Landon
what the
invented
rest of you do.
I
real
heard that
Chris
Landon
Shelton.
invented a massive prime number. That's what I heard. He invented a huge
Yeah,
prime
I
number.
use computers to do some of the mathematical stuff, but also cryptography, also a lot of stuff relating to computational physics and statistics.
Different
and
debate. Did
yes.
Landon invent that number, or did Landon discover that
And
number?
that's a
Well, no, he
really
invented
I was
it.
just about
important
to
question.
bring, yep.
I like to
Different
say
debate.
that numbers are discovered, but this is also, if these so-called, and it's hard for me to call it AI. I don't.
Oh yeah.
AI to me is something better than merely a large language model on steroids with NVIDIA's shareholders saying yes.
All right, well, let me clarify our topic a little bit for everybody, because I didn't,
go.
and that's part of what makes it fun. So what we're talking about, we're not talking about machine learning. We're not talking
What?
about, like, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is never going to gain sentience. It doesn't have the capability. It's just not the way it's programmed. That's not what it's about. We're not talking about language models. We're not talking about machine learning, which people are marketing as AI.
Yes.
We can talk about artificial intelligence, but when we're talking about artificial intelligence, we are not talking about things like ChatGPT or Grok, for example.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So what we are going to talk about, and I'm sure we'll probably get into Landon's a little bit, but we're going to table that one. We're going to pin a pin in that one for now. We're going to talk a little bit about
Who's laughing now, Landon?
I mean, it was me,
me.
but then you blew my ears out, asshole.
Sorry.
Were
I
you
moved closer to the
sleeping?
microphone for the important content. It's like bold text,
That's what capital lock sounds like, by the way.
Caps like.
By the way, caps lock. The person who invented caps lock, I hope you are having a bad time in whatever time you are. Caps lock deserves to be on the back of the terminal as a dip switch you have to unlock. It is the most aggravating key and should be abolished. I have good hacker terminals where the caps lock is gone because it's a useless key that does nothing but create problems. So whoever invented the caps lock key, screw
Why does it
you
cause
and the
problems,
horse you rode in them.
I gotta invent an entire show that Landon has beef, and then like it's just
Yes,
him bitching
exactly. Yes.
But why does it
I
cause
see that
problems?
already.
What's wrong with caps lock, though, for real?
Because it's a key that gets accidentally pressed to throw you into another mode, because upper and lowercase letters are very important, the different things. And if you want to do a lot of caps lock, hold down the shift key and type characters. Don't be lazy.
Okay. Because people hit it accidentally, you mean?
Yes, and so I turn my caps lock key is usually for control, right? And it doesn't do caps lock. I map it out.
Cool.
See, you
Never
asked.
mind. This show is Landon and Barry.
No, I wanted to know because I kind of find the caps lock very useful.
Yeah, no, apparently all of us who use it are just lazy bastards, right?
Yeah, apparently I'm a piece of shit.
We should have our pinky, on that shift,
Yeah.
right? And yeah,
I mean,
okay, Landon. Okay.
I'm not a real computer person, and I use caps lock, so I'm a piece of shit. And also,
I just never knew how lazy I was because of the caps lock key.
Wow.
Does
I wanna
this
point
also
out-
apply, Landon, to the numlock key also? Is that
That's
also
another useless one.
egregious
So, like you
in
use
its existence?
you map those
Yes,
keys to do
apparently.
something more useful, right? They might say numlock. Now, the thing I do not allow
You're a numlock.
on my keyboards is that stupid Windows image. None of my
Oh, the Windows
keyboards
key?
are allowed to have the Windows key.
Do I use that all
That's
the
even
time? What are
worse.
you talking about?
He's not
I use it to
allowed. Doesn't mean
minimize and
Barry's not
maximize
allowed.
windows and do all the stuff really quickly. Like,
Can I point
You
out
can
real
have-
quick?
you can
This
have
is the
function
difference
keys that
between
give you
two
function.
people two people who've been writing and do like authorship, and Landon doing programming.
Well, I also write journal articles, but that's a different story. Anyway,
Yes.
so what is this? What are we debating about?
What are we talking about? Why are we here? Man, I don't know. I forget.
Is there something we're supposed to be?
So the singularity that we're referring to is a piece of technology or invention of humans that has gained sentience. At that point when it gains sentience, what that looks like, what that means, and what happens. That's what I envisioned this conversation was gonna be. But apparently
Well,
we've got
you have
different
a
opinions. I want to let Chris go
Chris, you have a
first.
problem.
Yeah.
in
Oh, do
that
I?
What does
Only
it
one?
what first of all, what does it mean to be sentient?
Well, yes. That is a whole.
Chris, your
Christian,
audio's gone
you
again, Chris.
muted.
And Chris's audio has become sentient and has muted him.
Chris's audio left. Did he have it on the cap lock key? Did he have it hotkeyed
Yeah.
to the cap locks and turned
Still
himself
can't
off?
hear you.
Yeah, press to talk, caps lock key.
Still can't hear you, Chris. Vote Trump.
Uh-oh.
Trump #1. Make America.
Shut up,
Great
Barry.
again. Make
Yeah, there is a
America.
problem about like what counts as sentience and how we would recognize it if that were the case. But that's a philosophical conversation for another day. So we can touch on it a little bit here, but I don't want to go too into that because that's its own conversation into the weeds. So it has
What do
to
I do
be
with Chris? I can't hear anything he's saying.
well, he can log out and log back in and see what
his-
happens. He'll be fine. I believe
His rig
in
has
him.
become sentient.
I
He's
believe.
decided that we already know what he's going to say, and he doesn't.
I'm pretty sure if these things became sentient, they'd cut me off before Chris.
Well, that's part of the conversation. What
And-
kind of a psychology would we even be talking about?
And they turn my keyboard in just caps lock keys. Everything is caps lock keys. That would be the.
Yeah, and the Windows then for extra content. Windows caps lock. Okay.
That's if you do
We got
shift
you.
caps lock, you get Windows.
Is he going out and come back in again?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Okay.
By the way, on my keyboard, I can use shift caps lock. It does a different thing than caps lock. It does
I do
different-
appreciate that everybody in the chat started all talking in caps lock immediately.
Yeah.
And
Thank you
everybody,
very
as soon
much.
as Landon was like, "This button's a piece of shit," and you're a bad person, everyone
I mean,
pressed
yeah.
the button.
No, did
I
I
mean,
say you're a
sometimes I-
bad person? I said the inventor of it was somebody I'm hoping is having a bad time. I did not
I do
say-
sometimes hit. I sometimes hit the caps lock by accident. That is true. But also, I walk into my door every so often. But I'm not going to take the door off the hinge. You know.
Well, I have rooms where I've taken the doors off the hinge so that I don't have to walk into it. You can
Maybe I like walking into it every so often.
Maybe this is part of sentience. You can actually modify your environment.
Are you saying now that I'm not sentient?
No, I'm just suggesting you could.
I'm
become
an
more.
asshole. I'm lazy. I don't know anything
No,
about
no, no.
computers, and now
Oh,
I'm
oh.
not sentient. I've been delegated to amoeba. My God, Landon, I know you're intelligent, but I mean,
I wonder what
we must look
Scientologists
like
say about
ants to you.
sentience.
The biggest prime number I can think of is 17, and I'm not entirely sure it's not divisible
By the
by
way,
something. So
Do you know Chesh has a prime number?
I do.
yeah, which means she has
Landon
one.
named one after me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
prime.
That's
And
nice.
it's a palindrome. It's the largest known decimal palindrome prime, and it's named after Chesh.
Chris, I see your audio. You might have to reselect your microphone drop down. Because it picks up the wrong one, and it's like the second or third one he tries. Every time.
So what would L. Ron Hubbard say about AI sentience singularity?
Who cares? We're not here to talk about what L. Ron Hubbard thinks.
He'd say-
Oh,
Chris is
that's the
right.
wrong one.
Nope.
He'd say, I
There
There you
wonder how I
go.
make
That's the
money
right
out of
one.
this.
That's the right one.
You got it.
Yay.
Hey,
Got it.
he's back.
There we go.
And you're back in
I
the room.
opened
Three,
up
two,
another
one.
window on my browser, and suddenly the
Oh.
sound.
You
So I
fool.
The Windows key is great for that.
am just the Windows exactly. Okay. All right. Anyway, thank you for your patience, boys and girls. I am back.
Welcome
I'm not
back.
touching a damn thing.
All right,
Yes.
so we're going to. You're not allowed to get distracted on my shows because vMix will kick your audio out.
Oh my god, so crazy.
All right, so
vMix.
if we can dumb down what counts as sentience is, it recognizes itself. Like I think, therefore I am. Whatever.
I have notes.
Yes, go. You go.
Okay. So the sentience consciousness argument is a rabbit hole that is not really
valid.
a wonderful one to go down or worth
Mhm.
going down, because we don't really have an agreed upon or well understood concept of what sentience and consciousness even are. In,
Yeah.
We agree on
in
that
the same way
disagreement.
we struggle to define what an emotion is. It's not that there are no definitions, it's that there are so many and so many different ideas about this, and it's such a complicated subjective experience of life that it's really, really hard to nail down. And so transferring that whole concept over to a computer when we don't really even have it nailed down for ourselves is a very, very difficult conversation, and one we could certainly have, but it is going to be a bit of a circular shale taste, because nobody really can tell you, here's what consciousness is, and now
Yeah.
here's what a computer can do, and can these two things lay over each other? We're not even at step one.
Yeah, that's a valid.
Yeah,
That's a
what
really
Chris
valid
said.
point.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
what
yes.
is if we're gonna have the conversation, we should probably start off with: is it even possible? Go ahead, Barry.
In my article, I defined human intelligence.
What
Not
what
because I
was
wanted
what
to.
was? Yeah, do it.
I said,
Intelligence.
here's a paragraph, because I spend a long time working on the wording of these things, so I am going to read it. We might think of intelligence as an immutable and measurable, an ability to perform certain benchmark tasks, or a demonstration of capability in various discrete subjects. In reality, human intelligence exists as a messy soup of apprehension, discernment, insight, close enough solutions, preferences, and passions. And there's no way, even in theory, to code any of that.
That's a perfectly.
I would agree with that.
I would agree with that too. It sounds like you're a writer and wrote that.
Yeah, it sounds like you wrote something.
I did.
No, it's because I like what you wrote, because it includes the organic nature of human intelligence, the fact that it is a messy, sloppy, multifaceted thing. It's not just our problem-solving capability or our ability to recognize other people's emotional state and respond appropriately, or an ability to regulate a nervous system, or an ability to compute with facts. It's all of this and more wrapped up in this package called human intelligence. I like that.
I think there's also something that. So go ahead, Landon.
And I would say, and on top of that, from like a computation standpoint, people that work in the field of AI frequently don't like the term intelligence or singularity. That's not what sometimes what their goals are. And as well as this notion of you can compute your way in, you can algorithmic your way into something, is known to be flawed. I mean, the whole thing in mathematics, where you have mathematicians in the last century thought that you could come up with a machine that could produce truth, like algorithmically prove everything. And we know from things like Gödel, we know the mathematicians, that's not possible. You can't algorithmically come into demonstratable proofs, even in logic, something as cold as number theory logic. So to say I've got a machine that is going to somehow do something that you will vaguely call intelligence, when things like the Turing test are flawed in a high degree, problem. Nevertheless, there is a question about will AI get to the stage where it becomes self-amplifying and then do science fiction stuff? That's an interesting question.
That's the closest to the concept so far of what I understand the singularity to actually mean. It's got different people use it in different ways, but it's not from what I dug up, and it's certainly not like, there's lots of stories, lots of literature out there about what happens if computers become sentient or self-aware, and a lot of I mean, this is the whole Terminator movie series, right? I mean, this is old school stuff, and somehow if you break it down, it becomes a mythology, from my perspective, and it becomes a mythology of a series of ideas, not just one. It's not just AI we have a computer that becomes self-aware, but there's this sequence of events that's supposed to occur where it then computes our unnecessariness, right, or our redundancy or our inefficiency, and therefore concludes we shouldn't be here because it's always optimizing for efficiency or something, and therefore hits some button and we all disappear because it gets rid of humans. But that whole thing is not really the singularity that Peter Thiel or Silicon Valley guys are talking about in the AI circles. They're talking about recursion and the idea that a machine can improve itself to a point where we no longer have predictability or control of that process. And so there's this, right? And that's the part that is the, oh my gosh, this could be a runaway thing. And I came today to say, yeah, that's bullshit too. But not for the reasons that that people necessarily gravitate to or realize right away, right? Because it's a complicated problem, and so so there's no way to, you can say, yeah, it's bullshit, but to justify that, you have to explain a few things about how the AI industry actually runs and how it physically and digitally, in order to get to the answer of why this is probably just a lot of hype.
I like to quote the movie called All the President's Men, which, if you've seen it, is about these two journalists who are trying to take down Nixon. And it's brilliant. Well, they don't realize they're trying to take down Nixon, but halfway through it occurs to them and they start panicking. But anyway, there's a guy who feeds Robert Redford, and that was the name of the journalist. His real name is Robert Redford. I know it's also the same as the actor. So this guy told Robert Redford, no, it's Bob Woodward, sorry, Robert Redford underneath the parking garage, and he wasn't giving him anything. And eventually he says, look, I'm sick of your chicken shit bullshit. He said, will you just tell me what I need to know? And he says, look, he says, these are not very bright guys, and things got out of hand. Okay, so I think that might be an explanation for an awful lot of stupid bullshit we see in the AI thing. Is these are not, they seem like Elon Musk and Zuckerberg are presented to us as some sort of tech geniuses. They are not very bright guys at all, and things got out of hand.
And Mark, the next time you're in, you try to sit in a seat, and I'm sitting there instead, I will send you another Shirley Temple with my compliments.
Is a Shirley Temple
Landon's
a type of
got
weapon
beef.
or a kind of a type of grenade? Or
Mark Zuckerberg, when no one's looking, gives me the finger, and I'm proud of that. But I'll tell you, the other thing I wanted to say was I as part of preparing for this thing, I went to a Tech Bro Silicon Valley virtual party where there were people whose net worth, the log of the net worth of their thing was an interesting integer as well. And there's another group of people that are not the sci-fi, we should avoid sci-fi Terminator stuff. These are the, we will achieve this nirvana where wetware doesn't keep us behind. We no longer have project managers that get in our way, and we don't have to deal with the crazy HR and PR and CEO departments. We can just let the computers give us perfection. And that's kind of the mantra on that side. This is the opposite of Terminator.
Right.
Is it not like the selling point of Terminator, though? Not the movie, but like before it becomes the Terminator, is the selling point not this AI tech bro mentality?
Yeah,
it's what ushers it in. It's always the over-promising, under-delivering, right? It's the well, just because you could, does that mean you should? Question, right? That Michael Crichton brings up in Jurassic Park, and it's futurism gone a bit magical thinking. Is really what I see it as.
It is.
You have to dream to accomplish, but they always dream of this, utopia that's a bit beyond human nature, and I always laugh at them for that. So that's my
the best army generals in the world still need civilian oversight, right?
Yeah, in an ideal progressive liberal society, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
allegedly.
like everyone here, I realized pretty quickly that this AI superintelligence thing is bullshit. But then I asked another question: is what could possibly lead anyone to think that it's a good idea or that it might actually happen? And I came up with 7 different reasons, all working together. Would you like to hear them?
Please. Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Reason number 1, a persistent anthropomorphism, which is the inability to relate to anything that's not in some way human. Fear of the unknown. Predictions, however unjustified, give us the illusion of control over the future. An inability to contextualize available data. As there is only one global computer technology, we have nothing to compare it to. Moore's law, which means that computing capacity doubles every 2 years, which has held more or less since 1975, although Moore himself said in 2015 that he sees Moore's law is going to die off, but I don't know if it will. It's still holding steady. The extrapolation fallacy, the common mistake of determining the trend of available data points and continuing the trend to infinity. Confirmation bias, which means adopting much lower standards of evidence for information which confirms your own theory than for information which contradicts it. And the last one is the propensity of many top IT CEOs to find themselves inspired by science fiction. And there are many entertaining science fiction movies where computers take over and try to destroy us all. But the general rule with science fiction is that it always tells us much more about the time it was written in than about the future. That's it.
Ironic, I would say, in listening to that list, 6 of the 7 topics were discussed in the Tech Bro party.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Guess which one wasn't?
The tech bros are stupid.
Science fiction.
Yeah, the last one.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
There is. I'm glad you brought up Moore's law, because that is actually one of my arguments about this, is that there is a physical constraint happening in the real world right now that is no part of the theoretical musings of the Peter Thiels and Silicon Valley folks, right? They assume something that has been true all the way up to now, but is becoming untrue, and that is compute capacity. And
they said that they were saying that at the end of the 90s. Do you remember? At the end of the 1990s, they were saying the laws of physics are preventing us from making any faster RAM and any more hard drives and so on. And then somebody invented a thing that made that go away. So somebody could invent something new.
No, I'm not talking about going downwards. I'm talking about physical infrastructure, data centers. In order to do the work of building a model that can act recursively to correct and build itself, you need compute power that is off the fucking charts, right? You really need a lot, because you have to run, because the way that you do this mechanically is you take, and LLMs can do this too, by the way, is you take an existing model and you go, okay, how do we improve it? It's 1,000 monkeys problem. It's the AI presents 1,000 different ways that maybe it could do better, and it has to test every one of those ways, which it can do itself. You program it how to do it. It does it, produces whatever metric you're looking for as to how good it did, this model performed, and it finds the most advantageous one out of 1,000 experiments, right? And that requires a data center sized compute power to run all those experiments. If you don't have that big ass data center, you can run those experiments, but it's going to take you 3 years, right? Yeah. So there's that problem that is now entering into the mix, which is beyond just the power of a simple chip, but this computing power of thousands and thousands of experiments that can be run in a very tightly controlled way will produce, an AI producing a better AI is the idea here.
Yeah.
If it can cross over into doing that recursively, where it doesn't need human interference to do that, that's your singularity. But we don't have the compute power. We have a lot of compute power right now, but apparently, this problem is really, really big.
Data center on the moon.
Yeah, the data
nowhere near that, right?
The ladder rinse repeat process has a problem, and to some extent, this notion of computation. First of all, we have to keep in mind that AI company marketing will declare sentience and singularity things for the purpose of economic stuff. Let's set that aside.
Marketing is lying to you.
So much.
And then investor relations will say, give us more money because we're about ready to achieve commercial fusion or whatever the promise is. The other bit is the notion that they're operating so fast. So one of the things in computation that I engage in is efficient computation. So the world records I've done in computation have never used the fastest, bestest machine. They have used a machine extraordinarily well tuned. But right now there's such a desperate trying to land grab of the economic space that they don't have time to optimize. I mean, I went to a and tried to consult with a fairly famous, well-known, company doing AI stuff, and I showed them a couple of things they can do to gain a factor of 2 in efficiency. And the answer was, we don't have time to optimize right now. We have to move so fast we can't even get there. And I talked about saying, well, you've got order of magnitude performance problems here, and they say yes, but the cachet of having to have a nuclear power plant to power our data center is more valuable to us than being efficient. And that to me was deeply offensive, right? My thing about when I do these large computations, what you don't realize is there's a lot of effort went into making them extraordinarily efficient. It's not who is the fastest, but who is able to do it properly the first time that the reward goes to.
Yeah. I mean, we want to talk about like capitalism ruining everything when it goes out of control, like any system would do when it is not like properly working within certain constraints.
Yeah. And I say, Peter Thiel, if you are listening, your mind is a proverbial black hole. You are some of the persons who has caused J.D. Vance to become extraordinarily stupid, and you're your own singularity. And the sooner people realize that you have a political malady and that you shun your ideas, the better I think society will be.
Oh my goodness. And they really do need to just do a show that's titled Landon's Got Beef and then let Barry ask him questions.
No, but seriously, the notion of that they're and you say, well, why the power is a limiting factor. Well, no, they're racing so fast to try to get models ahead of the other competitors that they don't have time to optimize. And they can. And then the problem is we pay the price. Like in Utah, the concern was these data centers using enormous amounts of water. Well, guess what? You can recycle the water. You don't have to go and just cool your thing and dump it on the other side. You can recycle it, but that takes additional time. It takes additional effort. And you want to realize that when they're building these mega centers, these mega AI cities, the contracts to do that are several years old. The pipelines, you just don't go and order on Amazon big data center. The pipeline's already been there. And if you say, hey, you can use this chip to do it more efficient, they say, sorry, but we already put in the orders. And we realize the companies that they're ordering from have turned around and bought time and token value in your entity. It's a whole big inhaling the farts cycle that's going around, and to say make it more efficient, no, you'll break the supply chain, and we will, in order to optimize, we would come behind the other people and they would get a better score result on marketing hypes, right?
Right, because the driving force is profit, right? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and profit in the direction of there are things that need to fall into place in order for this whole thing to work. Because we have, you read Ed Zitron, you read, certain things which have been following for years about the economic side of this, and it's a non-viable technology, and they're trying to get this point, to get to this singularity, this recursion point.
The replicators.
And they don't know when it's going to happen. Yeah. But they're trying to get there. And they figure,
they just want to be ahead of the other people.
Keep throwing more monkeys at it with more typewriters, and we will get there, right? It's that kind of method. It's a brute force method of improving things by trying everything until you get the one right way, or the best, most optimized way, and off we go. And in a kind of, that's kind of the core of what's going on with the AI build outs is, but we need to keep building to increase compute so that it can do these big experiments, so that it can get bigger and get more self-aware, get more understanding, whatever, right? Fix itself, however you want to describe it. And at the same time, we need all this compute because this is also the way that we build new, better AI models in the first place. We don't just build an AI model feed it a bunch of data and then let it loose. We're making it tune itself the whole time. And in order to do that, you need all these chips and these data centers, or it takes a long time. And we're trying to take the time out of it by building out the volume of compute we can do. But in order to do that, we need these data centers. And so we need all of you to understand that this is all premised on the idea that we will get there. And at this point, it's so economically unviable that people are starting to not believe that they're ever going to get there. Even if they could eventually get there, we're just not going to, the public at large have been lied to so many times by these same people about what they're trying to do. And because they're looking so desperately for money from anywhere they can get it, governments are a really good place to go get it. And governments have an awful lot of use for big data processing when they're trying to set up something like a surveillance state. And so it's not that the AI guys want a surveillance state necessarily, but when you're looking for, where do you get more resources, more power, more influence to build your data centers?
They're willing to sacrifice for it.
We'll break a few eggs to get our omelet, right? Because eventually this vision they have is this utopian, we're gonna cross this line, the balloon will expand, and we will have machinery that can productively, financially viably replace people at multi-step tasks and jobs, which they currently are over-promising, but way under-delivering. And so they're trying to race against this economic sort of brick wall that's racing at them. And I'm thinking it's going to hit them hard. And this whole current round of technological advance is going to kind of not be a success, but it will maybe enable something that could be a success, in a future round of innovation, if that all makes sense. I
mean, there's this idea that the AI thing is kicked off because people can make money from it, but every single AI company is revenue negative right now. And they have been since March, and I don't know what the latest numbers are, but it would surprise me if they're anything other than massively revenue negative.
Yes.
That's the problem.
So it's not even about making money.
That's why they've been injecting AI into fucking everything. They're desperately trying to get a bottom line that will justify and show investors, look at all this money we're making, invest more so we can do this build out, so we can get there, right? It's this,
and get the contracts for the infrastructure and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Because when I talk about if you go to some
nothing
of these
but resistance,
models and say what's 2 plus 2, you won't get 4. You'll get a paragraph of tokens that you've just spent. And because that's what they're in the business of selling, and there's a realization that this economic cycling of people inhaling their own revenue is going to come to a crash. And what people hope with this musical chair economic event going on in Silicon Valley is that they at least have a chair they can walk away with, or at least one that's set aside. That there's the grab as much as you can, because when it collapses, you can use that to do other things.
So what do you guys say then, or what do you think about when people like Neil deGrasse Tyson or Stephen Hawking back in the day, or even Bill Gates? We know Landon has an opinion about Bill Gates that are separate. But when they warn people and they're like, oh, we need to be really careful and we shouldn't do this because of this singularity situation, do you think you're just farting into the wind, or
warn about what the humans are doing, not the technology?
Okay.
Yeah, that's the concern, and they are the ones who are actually trying to be the Malcolm, what's his name, right, from Jurassic Park, right? The chaos professor, right? Is like, hey, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, right?
What are we doing, and why are we doing
this? About this for a minute, because no one, there's a few things wrapped up in this singularity fear, and one of the reasons it expresses itself in different ways is because it's expressing an old as time fear of change and progress and the unpredictability of what human invention brings. And so, you know, you go all the way back to agriculture and the crossbow and gunpowder and the printing press to look at how inventions have unintended, you know, wide consequences, and people sometimes don't think about that before they unleash it on the world.
Yeah, once the cat's out of the bag, the
Generally,
cat's out of the bag. Yeah.
that's right. And
Can't put it
generally,
back in.
because there isn't any one moment when it happens, it's a process, and it takes time. But we narrow it down as though there's a distinct before and after. So the human psyche, I guess you could say, is sort of infused generationally with this fear of unintended consequences and what's this gonna do? And there isn't any technology we've ever invented that hasn't had massive, massive benefits for people. The lasting technologies we've built have enabled all kinds of wonderful things, but
Like this
we
show.
didn't see it before it happened. So there's all these bad things that happen too, and it's real easy to point to all the bad stuff and just go, well, and we should. And so finally we're in a place where there are some people with power who are actually suggesting before the technology we lose control of it, hey, maybe we should be a little bit more mindful of the fact that we tend to lose control of some of our technology, you know?
Yeah.
Especially
Well,
with
I
the
said-
recursion issue, because that's what they understand it is, that once this thing gets going, if it hits that, well, what does that mean? No one fucking knows what that means, is what they
But
is
there's
what they're
also a
really
notion of,
saying.
well, if they're the first to get close to it, they can get more money, right? Because when you put out this Terminator stuff, people like the U.S. Department of Defense or ICE come and say, "Can we have a discussion? Can we get some of that, please?" Because there are people who see Terminator and say, "I want to be the ones to build and use that."
Yes.
And again,
Yeah.
it's not the technology; it's them. They're the problem.
Well, in
if
my
you
article,
could
I said
build,
that.
if you, sorry,
Go.
no, you were
Chris,
just
go.
talking. I cut you off.
Oh,
Please,
in my
Barry.
article, I said that the real danger will not be the AI goes out of control and tries to kill everybody, but that humans will intentionally try to exploit the normal, correct functioning of AI for nefarious purposes. It'll be AI working as advertised perfectly the way it's supposed to work. That's going to be the problem.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's human nature we really struggle with. And most of the myth and fear built up around this is not fear of machines, it's fear of us and what we're going to do with it, exactly as Barry just said.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a totally legit point.
Well, Barry, you know that writers have had a very important part in technology. So science fiction and some of those things, the concepts there, have both inspired and been inspired by this technology movement. And I can tell you that in the .ai marketing cycle, they're looking for writers to write stories to help enhance the perception and value of the market. So what do you think in terms of how where writers share the writing community shares in this singularity debate?
Effectively, if you saying that you are a writer is more or less the same as saying you're unemployed. And if a writer can write a story that someone's going to pay them for, I think they should definitely do that. That's what I think about that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what the difficult part with this, the part that we struggle with to make it complicated, is
go on.
Let's talk about the Terminator problem, right? So you're going to sell everybody on these what are the Robo Dynamics or whatever that company's called?
Yeah.
That has the killer dogs, right? That look so cute because they dance around. None of that stuff is happening organically.
Boston Dynamics is what you're referring to?
Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Boston Dynamics. So these things are all fun, but they're sold in a very rational way. Wouldn't you rather have a robot standing guard in a place where he could be shot than a human? Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't it be better if robots went and fought for us than humans did, we wouldn't have
Wait,
the
wait, 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 wait,
cost
wait,
wouldn't
Chris.
be in
Wait,
human lives, right?
this Sentry robot has a significant dollar value attached to it, and I don't know if we can, like, we can, if we can go through guys, but this robot is worth a lot of money, and if it gets shot and something happens to it, we could be in trouble. So what we decided to do is we decided to just hire guys instead to stand there humans, and if they get shot, we can just get another one for relatively cheap.
Well, that's the whole point, though, is that
Especially
these
if you have
robots are
someone
becoming
thinks you have access to
economically more
humans.
viable than a human.
Yeah, they're
like
Because
expensive
a human
now,
being-
but you'd say about the Roomba, right?
If you're a person who got mad that you had to be reduced to become a taxi cab driver in Moscow, which by the way is a perfectly fine profession. I wish the person had stayed a taxi cab driver when you got kicked out of your East German KGB office. That person sees, they have this excess of people that they're able to get rid of on the battlefield where bots are becoming a significant factor, right? And so this is a notion of the Terminator type thing is we're seeing in the battlefield with its asymmetric thing. And believe me, defense companies are salivating over this possibility.
Yes,
where
they are.
You put a multi-billion-dollar gold-plated battleship because somebody likes gold, and someone spends several orders of magnitude less money on something and sinks your battleship.
Mm-hmm.
This asymmetry thing is the issue.
Yeah.
They see like an ICE, they see the goal because justice for ICE victims. Hashtag that. They see that one of the problems right now with ICE is you've got this wetware who is doing this enforcement. If you had robots and so-called AI technology finding who the bad people are, they could be much more efficiently handled. But
right.
Please, I'm not advocating this. There are people who think this is a good
That's
idea.
just the thought process. Yeah, I think there's something to be said about if you want to talk about war and you want to talk about the things that are necessary to wage a war. The things that are necessary to wage a war, you still need food. You still need to be able to make energy go from point A to point B. You need to be able to like take your food and move it and travel it between point A and point B, and you need to be able to do morale. What happens to war when you can remove all three of those things from the equation?
Exactly. Not to mention you remove the possibility of running away, deserting.
All that falls under morale. It all goes away.
Yeah, all
Yep.
the.
Do you remember?
Right, all the human.
Do you remember 1984
of
when the last bit of 1984 where he described what was happening with the board? He says the three continents were constantly at war with each other, but when a continent was at war with another crowd, they just kind of agreed among themselves to kill their own people. Do you remember that bit at the end of it? Where he says, look,
Yes.
If we go to war, we're going to kill like 40,000 of each other's population. So it'd be much more efficient if we just killed 40,000 of our own people and you do the same to yours. And then we'll call that like the end of the war. And it was just
Right.
like, that's what's going to happen if you let computers in charge of wars. They'd be like, wait a second, we can do this whole thing so much more efficiently. You don't have to fire a single bullet, just kill people here.
But this whole thing is about killing robots instead. That's how you sell it. You no longer have
to do the
the
morale at
whole
home.
report to the that was in Star Trek too. The whole report to the disintegrator thing. Yeah, that's not a very realistic future for us. But
and you notice in the space where in Star Trek space, you might say that their computers were sort of Singularity-ish like, and something like the Borg represented this exponential runaway thing,
right?
which
Deep Space Nine.
clever humans
Sorry.
and script writers could defeat, right?
Yes.
Well,
I mean,
like Star Trek is so far
future,
advanced that they can map this. They can map the speed and the location of any subatomic particle. That's how clever they are in Star Trek land, and I think that's
that's.
I want to know that.
Yeah, we're often.
It's
also like
well done, guys.
if we want to talk about Star Trek, though, then we have to talk about the differences between the Doctor and Data. Data was an individual scientist building this thing, where the Doctor was a program that became something that it wasn't intended to be initially. Those are two different situations, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
They had a court case about it in one episode.
Data, What's in a Man? Yeah.
Yes. So So I think one of the things that writers can do is to give us glimpse into possible futures or possible things,
Right.
and ask us to consider what we're doing, right?
I
And
have
again,
beef.
what-
I have beef
and
about this.
please,
Writers, librarians, all of you, I got beef with you. Every single one of you guys. There's a difference, and I think we might need to delineate this line between fantasy and sci-fi, and there's stuff that's in the sci-fi section that is fantasy. The difference between fantasy and sci-fi has to have shit in it that's supposed to work. It's supposed to have science in it that makes sense. Fantasy doesn't need to have that. So you can have a futuristic fantasy that has fantastical technology in it. That's fine, but that's fantasy, not sci-fi. Fight me.
Like Star Wars.
I agree, Chesh.
Yeah, Star Wars
You're my
is
candidate.
fantasy, not sci-fi.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I will go to war.
So back to say that the thing, and again, I also want to make it quite clear, I'm using large language models, so-called AI, and I'm not an anti thing. And in fact, I've got over on the other screen, I've got a conversation with there now. The thing I do not do is give those large language models access to valuable stuff. I do not run apps on computers that I care about that are chat models. It's dangerous. Don't do it. I would not recommend. Use someone else's computer to have a copy of data that you don't care about if the model messes it up.
Yeah, we'll have to have a whole
hand,
conversation about
Valley,
cyber security because that's a whole other.
And I would really have a show about that. But in Silicon Valley, one of my former students that works in for a tech company, the management is telling this person that you have to spend this many hours per day in conversation with the model, the bot. And what the person does is they write the code themselves because they can do it much faster. And then they have a conversation with the model about the code. And if they run out of time, they research ancient recipes in their ethnicity with the model, right? Because why does a company waste money on this? Because they've invested in the whole large language model, so-called .ai technology. They need people to use it. They want their people to use it to create demand so that their money that they put out has a return.
Exactly. But the problem is that the user experience of it is that it works sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's all that people think about it. They don't go into all the depths and details we're talking about unless you're a nerd, right? So they just see.
Welcome to the channel. Hey.
Yeah, right. So they just see this doesn't work, the general experience of this, right? And then they see it injected into their Microsoft Word, into their spreadsheets, into their browser, into their this and that.
Non-consensual injecting.
Everywhere. Yeah, it's all over my phone, right? And people are already in a place. See, the other thing about this is it's hitting a cultural moment that's kind of important in the analysis of this, right? Which is that we all know, and we can make arguments about how tech is an inert, valueless thing. We assign value to it, or we give value to it, depending on how we use it. A computer is just a computer. It's just sitting there doing what it's doing until, do we use it for good or for evil? Right now, there is so much public distrust of institutions, both corporate and government, that these people could be offering to, pay us $500 a day, and we'd be like, fuck you. What's the catch? What are you talking about? You're trying to fuck me somehow, right? Like, no matter what they do, we're always looking for their angle, because we're at a point right now in history where we are after decades of government malfeasance and corporate, nonsense, and trashing our environment and trashing our rights and this and that and the other thing. We're not super interested anymore in what new tech Silicon Valley has for us, because they haven't really given us anything very useful or innovative or new in over 20 years.
Well, that's because all the good new shit we get it from more open source or publicly funded things like NASA.
Well, I'm going to assert that we don't even have anything new. There's nothing new, right? Not since this. And this
Right.
Yeah.
looks exactly the same as it did 20 years ago because it's the
Yeah.
same damn thing, right? There's nothing new, really new, being brought into our life from tech like we had all these expectations it
It's
would.
marketed as
And the
new.
latest and greatest from these guys has been virtual reality.
Yep.
It didn't go anywhere. The glasses, right? They don't go anywhere. Nobody wants them. And the and AI.
I would
And these
suggest, or I posit that the biggest, like, quote, one of the biggest new inventions is not a physical thing. It's more something like social media, YouTube, and doing that. I don't know if you would count it as an invention beyond the internet being invented, though.
Yeah, no,
Right? Because
I
now
do,
it's
and
just
it's
like
also
the
over
okay.
20 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
also
yeah. Social
over-
media is over that now. Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
things that essentially you can hold in your hand as opposed to having to go to a keyboard is a transformational thing about
Yes.
society use. People that are addicted to the ghost machine because it's now they're now have the computer in front of them as opposed to have to go to the desk and do it. That's been a transformational thing in society.
Yeah, and
The metaverse, that's right.
obligatory. If you care about 50% of the population, please do not spend money on the fucking AI glasses
I have a
thing.
phone, too.
Don't do it.
Yes.
No, those things are ridiculous. They're just
They're
ridiculous.
awful.
But
Chris,
and it tells
I
us
have
like what these guys are thinking as far as what new things they have to offer us that's supposed to be revolutionary. And look
Yeah.
what happens. It's a big bleh, right?
Yes.
Zuckerberg's done that
NFT is
3
an
times in a row now.
NFT, crypto,
It's a big
this
bleh.
Oh my
blah.
God.
Yes.
Oh
Okay, yeah,
God.
put
Don't
that
get
in-
me started on NFT
Sell
and
a-
crypto.
sell a t-shirt.
Jesus Christ.
NFT
right?
fell apart. That's the good thing, all right? NFT fell
Oh,
apart.
yes.
That's we can relax
Oh,
about
what a
that.
disaster,
mention that
right?
crypto is a
And
scam?
crypto is just scam central.
Yeah.
So
How could anybody
this lack
not
of-
predict that an anonymous decentralized currency would result in anonymous decentralized fraud? I mean, how could anybody not
who could
see that
and I
coming?
will
could have
say
said
this.
who could have told?
Who could have
could
foreseen
told,
this?
right?
I got a lot of booze, but when I was saying that as a cryptographer, Satomo, who the person who claims to have been in Bitcoin was incompetent. He's was an incompetent economist. He was a competent cryptographer and a competent resource person. But it's the hype that created the matter. But Chris, I have a specific Chris question I came with.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see cults making use of language models .ai technology to try to advance their stuff? Do you see evidence
Absolutely.
today?
Already happening. Yeah. Absolutely already happening. Because it has utility. I mean, it's not that it's a useless technology. It just has scope that is very limited compared to the overhype, right? They are over promising and under delivering, but that doesn't mean it can't do anything. It's great for big data summarization or stuff like that. And it's good for creating graphics if you don't mind 6-fingered people or 3 arms hidden away. People use it for that all the time, and the cults can't get enough of that. Saves them all kinds of time. Cults, generally speaking, are operations that are operating on too big of goals or agendas with too few people. That's a pretty universal thing about cults. So they'll definitely gravitate to using AI when they can.
Can I posit a concept that the public at large has bought into that is very much in industry, like when it comes to like corporate, has been corporatized, and it is always bigger, always growing, always new? And maybe that's something we need to start as society collectively moving away from. Like, I don't need necessarily new kids' TV shows. There's like Gargoyles was good. I don't need a new one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was good. I don't need a new one. That doesn't mean don't make new things with those IP if you're going to make something good. But just selling it or just buying something because it's the new thing might not be the way we should be running like our media and some of our stuff.
The structure of these stock market companies is that they have shareholders. The shareholders are going to demand a greater return on investment than, at the very least, it has to beat inflation. So these guys are going to constantly feel like they have to keep pumping them. Yeah, they're going to have to keep pumping themselves forward. And if there's nothing they can do with their product to do that, they will invent something new and then convince you that it's something that you want to buy.
Yep.
Now,
it's a sci-fi problem that we're experiencing now that will pass. But kind of like we had our economic system change in the 70s with neoliberals,
Yeah,
economic ideas from Milton Friedman, right? This is kind of where it
yeah,
started,
Friedman.
this whole concept. And the concept is basically it switched, the model switched from build a product, get really good at, and create the best version of that product you can, but just
Yeah,
make steady income and run a viable company
yeah,
producing that product. That's the model. Then it
yeah,
changed into let's build a class of product and let's squeeze every possible ounce of value out of it that we can
Mm.
by presenting this product in 50 different ways to
yeah.
50 different markets and
Yeah.
diversify the product
And not just that,
and
but also maximize
squeeze
your
the
debt.
value right out of it. And Barry,
Maximize your
what we
debt,
think?
maximize your credit. That was another
No,
new neoliberal thing
no.
from the 1970s that Friedman kicked off. Don't
Yep,
just that the debt used to be something they saw as something bad, and now maximize your debt, maximize your credit, and
exactly. It
that kind of thinking completely tanked the
And-
Argentinian economy in the 1970s.
yeah, and so
yeah,
I want
it
to also
screws over everybody.
say
Yes,
in the writing community or entertainment community how responsible technology is being used. Look at what South Park Studios did, right? Matt and Trey had this cut paper thing which was unsustainable. People wanted to
yes,
have this many shows, and they came to us at Silicon Graphics and said, I know you do Terminator like movie stuff. Can you do crappy graphics? Can you
yes,
simulate graphic graphics? And in fact, there's a SGI model called graphic graphics, which they use because what they realized
yeah,
was their their voicing and their storylines was key, and the mechanics of producing a show could be reduced down to 18 hours of computation because the
yeah,
value is in the writers and the concepts.
yeah,
When I went to Pixar, and they have Pixar, the main Pixar studio has the left side and the right side. One is the left brain people, another is the right brain people. You have the graphic nerds, and you have the creative story people. But in the middle of this thing that was put up by Steve Jobs, there's a big letter saying it's the story, stupid, which is, you could have a Pixar movie with all kinds of fancy stuff, but it comes down to the story. If you don't have a story,
yeah.
It's
you
quality.
don't have a movie that's going to be viable.
Trey also
And
said that when they streamlined this process to be 18 hours, it let them respond very, very quickly to current events.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which is
And
another
so,
benefit of doing it like this.
this technology can be useful, but the thing that we have to be careful of is the land
Application.
grab,
Yeah.
as Shona was talking about, where people want to just get enough before the musical chair game ends, and the marketing people that want to attract investments, and the people who use it irresponsibly, who will find if they can't use the language model, they'll find something else to use irresponsibly. That's sort of they're
Yeah,
irresponsible people.
And that's why I brought it up, right? Because it seems to me, or it sounds to me, that what I'm picking up from the three of you and your positions and kind of what you're coming from and where you're attacking this from is that not only is the singularity unlikely to even be a thing that happens, but part of the reasons why we're never going to get there is because the AI bros are shooting themselves in the foot because of what Landon is describing. Right?
Mhm.
This rush and this want of new thing, instead of providing something that is either needed, necessary, or even like inventive in its own right, is being
That's
thrust
right.
aside by these by what Barry was describing, which is by the structure of I guess what society is expecting, and what Silicon Valley and what the stock market wants. Right,
That's right.
the economy portion of it. Am I grasping
No,
sort
I
of
think
what we're
you're
putting
good
down?
point.
Well,
I mean,
it's another way of framing this might be if you imagine that Thomas Edison. We have this myth, right, or this story at least, right? It's a story we can all get our head around. That Thomas Edison sat in a room for months on end, figuring out how to make a light bulb, and he spent his own time, money, and energy, and hired people and invested time and money to get that done. And it took an uncertain amount of time. It was an idea. I will create this thing. I envision what it's going to look like. I will invest in this and build it. And he imagined he could do it. And at some point, that imagination became reality with enough tries and enough money and enough effort. Now do that with the world economy, because you imagine a light bulb so fucking big that it takes hundreds of billions of dollars to turn it on. And that's the problem right now, is they're imagining the same kind of revolutionary technology that would legit change the world, but they haven't invented it yet. They're promising they're going to invent it by X time, which they have to keep changing the goalposts.
And even if they did, it might not even be something we all want. Yeah.
And that's exactly right. It's not a light bulb. Yeah. Nobody's really exactly clear what it is or what it's going to do, which is why we have multiple concepts of the singularity online, right? Peter Thiel says this, I say this. We don't even know what it is they're racing toward. At least Edison had something to tell an investor to go, look, I'm going to make this thing that's going to make light, and it's going to sit on a, it's going to sit right here, and it's going to be bright, and you're going to be able to see shit. And people went, I like that idea.
Can I pause it? Right? I'll let Landon go, and then I gotta pause it.
I want to respond that Chris said. If you look, for example, what Sam Altman is doing within the last couple of days, the last week, and people, because this timeline, people said, well, you said back then we'd have singularity, blah blah blah. How do you market that? And he said, well, we're going to have a slow walk into singularity. You'll gradually boil yourself. You'll get. He doesn't say boil it. You'll actually get there, and you won't realize how far into it. It's not going to be a sudden bang, right? And this is a new. I think one of his. He realizes he's missed the window, right? And he realizes that space Karen's I'm going to be on Mars stuff, runs into trouble when you miss it by many years. And what they're doing now, they're pivoting and saying, well, we're going to have this soft emergence of the singularity, and we'll kind of ease into it. So you don't have to pin me down on the exact date, because we're kind of slide into it.
That's right.
Can I pause it?
I think because all they're really doing is describing the march of technology.
Yes. Yeah. I think that an example of like an attempt and a flop at sort of what you're talking about, which is taking that AI, integrating it into our lives, and as an invention that people are going to have in their houses, like lights. You've got lights in your house. The Google Nest. The Google Nest was intended to be your smart house that was gonna let your house be like the Jetsons. That's what it was supposed to be. And nobody fucking has a Google Nest. Even the handful of people that did set it up, as soon as they moved, never bothered to set it up again. Is a piece of garbage that just was nosy and listened to your home conversations. It was just surveillance.
Yeah. It was also ability to market stuff to you, right? So none of my light bulbs require a software update to continue operating. And I can tell you that one of the Google twins, in their house, they do not have smart devices. They have people who are smart to turn on the lights.
Right. Well, the whole subscription plan thing is just, again, a symptom of the times.
Yeah.
Of running out of ideas that are viable to keep your company productive. So instead, you create the software as a service and subscription plans, and fuck all of you, right?
Obligatory. If buying isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing.
Right. That whole model, right?
Could we have a bathroom break? While I flush my buffers?
Yeah, actually, we should wrap up, is what we should do. Because we have been live for over an hour. And that is about our cutoff time. If you want to do another one of these, and if you guys are interested in seeing these three come back to talk about either more of this or something else, please let me know in the description down below. We didn't have a whole ton of questions, so we're not going to do a Q&A today. But if you do have questions, let us know down below, and maybe we'll come back and answer them. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Buy Chris's book. Go read Barry's thing that he wrote. It's really good. Definitely check it out. And Landon's got Our Favorite Universe, and you should check that out.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you guys.